Major moves. We going all in, like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.
Warning, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't blame me or any other random person that gives you some money tips for any of your financial decisions. I provide information based on research that may guide you to taking a deeper look at a particular company. However, in no way am I suggesting to invest or not invest in that company. Your decisions are that of your own. I present information that is readily available on the internet, and I piece together the story to create and provide a more holistic concept to create a bigger picture. This information is for educational purposes only. Ultimately, I'm a guy in a Spider-Man mask, and you should not take financial advice or information from me. Welcome back to my channel, everybody. I am so privileged to have you join me. Is it just me, or do you guys get excited for the videos too? Because when I'm at work, and I'm supposed to be working, and I'm working, mind you, I am working. But when I start to see some connections of things, when I have my downtime and I'm going through and skimming, and I see these things, it's just the ultimate power. It feels so good. And I continuously sing inside of myself, I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it. Oh yeah. Anyways, today's gonna be a solid one. Today, or a couple days ago, I posted on my timeline a couple things, but this one's in particular here. This is one from a PDF from the World Bank, and it's talking about XRP, it's talking about Ripple, it's talking about RippleNet, and it's talking about the G20 initiative for cross-border payments. So that's where we're going to pick up from, cross-border payments. All right, let you guys see this thing quickly here. All right, there we go. And then it jumps into the G20 just over here. I hope you do. I do hope you guys like my new layout now. If not, let me know. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends to tell their friends, and so on and so forth. And then just right here, they're talking about XRP, digital currency, to bridge between different jurisdictions. Then it goes right into the G20 has published a roadmap to enhance cross-border payments. All right. So that document there, the G20 document, that's what we're going to jump into today. How do I close this thing now? That's the hole we are going down. So that being said, I want to jump right over to Australia. Reserve Bank of Australia here. Here is box A. Here they're talking about the G20 roadmap to enhance cross-border payments. And this, mind the connections. These are going to be huge, like nothing you've seen before, okay? I'm not saying I'm the only one with this, but I don't know if anyone's made these connections for you guys yet here. So what it says here is globally, cross-border payments lag significantly behind domestic payments in meeting user expectation for services that are cheap, fast, accessible, and transparent. In October 2020, the G20 endorsed an ambitious roadmap to enhance cross-border payments. I put that on my feed. Check that out in my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I don't even know my name. I think it's at Mr. Man XRP. I'm the guy with the Spider-Man mask. Clearly. Okay. The roadmap was developed by the FSB, Financial Stability Board, in coordination with the Committee on Payments and Market Infrastructure, which is the CPMI. They are both part of the SSB, which is the standards setting body. Google that and you'll see a list of like 20 different entities on there and other international bodies. It sets out a 5-year program to address various friction in retail and wholesale cross-border payments arrangements that contribute to the challenges of high cost, low speed, limited access, and insufficient transparency in Figure A. That's what this is about. We are skipping past that, and see that bolded part? That's what I'm focusing on. The roadmap aims to address these interrelated problems through 19 building blocks. Notice that term is in parentheses, building blocks, i.e. work streams. What are those 19 things? These, as you see, numbers here, 1 to 5, these aren't the 19 building blocks. But I happen to find one. I happen to find one of these building blocks. As I went for a run yesterday, I was listening to a video from US SOCOM. And they were talking about building blocks. And I was like, get out of here. So I said, okay, let me check into what they're talking about. Inside the Jordan refugee camp that runs on blockchain. This is from April 12th, 2018. All right. Syrian refugees could regain legal identities that were lost when they fled their homes. Remember that word we were using, right? Building blocks. At the checkpoints counter, a cashier tallies the total, but Bassam doesn't pay with cash or credit card. Instead, he lifts his head to a black box and gazes into the mirror and camera at its center. So we're talking about biometrics now. A moment later, an image of Bassam's eyes flash on the cashier screen. Bassam collects his receipt, which reads, I pay. And the World Food Program, building blocks. Across the top and walks out in the noonday chaos at the Zatari refugee camp. All right. Though Bassam may not know it, his visit to the supermarket involves one of the first uses of blockchain for humanitarian aid. By letting a machine scan his iris, he confirmed his identity on traditional UN database. So we had learned in December 15th, 2022, that there was an initiative started by the NBU, the National Bank of Ukraine, along with Stellar Aid, and along with USDC, Circle, that they are going to be helping out the refugees in terms of giving them all funds, USDC on the Stellar XLM rails. So now here we have another rail, which is backed on the Ethereum through the UN as well. All right, by the World Food Program, which is a WFP, and settled his bill without opening his wallet at all. So I'm going to play this one video for you guys. It's a really short one, and then we're going to jump into the G20 roadmap itself. But you see how we got here, though? We're talking about the G20 roadmap, and that roadmap led us to here. Just from that simple term, building block. I started digging a hole, and I went down a hole, and here I am. Here we go. This is it here. Notice, US SOCOM soft talks, all right? This is the Air Force here. Listen to this. They're going to talk to that program I was just reading to you guys.
We've encountered them before. We need to start establishing identities that can be used across organizational boundaries. Shared by agencies on different networks, shared by governments, especially on different networks. Build reliable identities to understand who people are and where they have been. This is currently being done in refugee camps, in UN refugee camps in Jordan. We're tracking people in fluid and chaotic environments using the blockchain, using blockchain-based platforms and biometric data to start establishing identities and understanding how people are moving about from these camps. Even resources are being loaded against these identities using iris scanning technologies. People can pay for goods across those camps. Possible. It's been demonstrated that it works. Can be done. So to summarize, main takeaways today, that blockchain is an emerging technology. It's growing in use. The number of applications are growing across a wide range of areas. The counterfeit parts tracking, moving financial resources, tracking identity, and maybe the quality of the information that certain sources are providing.
Awesome. So let's jump down the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments. So, consolidated progress report for 2022. Whew. I'm just going to skim through it. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I'm just going through it. So, in some of my lessons here, As I was learning, I was teaching you guys here. We know who the CPMI is. We had just gone over them. We know who VASP is, the virtual assets and virtual asset service provider. VASP, which is cross-border payments. Legitimately, cross-border. It's your identity for the cross-border. All right, the top of the CBDCs here. To motivate progress toward the target and inform decision makers with challenges or areas of the market may require more or less focus. The FSB will publish its planned framework for monitoring progress towards the G20 targets for cross-border payments. Estimates of current performances will be published in the coming months and progress towards the targets reported annually. So expect annual reports similar to what we're reading right now to come out by different entities: the FSB, FAT, FATF, CPMI, the ISSB, International Standards Settings Body, the IASD, IAID, BIS, different individuals. Okay, get out of here. The work on the roadmap has now reached an inflection point. Yeah, it has. The FSB, in coordination with CPMI and other relevant international organizations and standards settings body, there it is, SSB, have published a separate note to the G20 on the way forward for the roadmap, which outlines the priority areas and approach to external engagement for the next phase of the work under the roadmap to achieve the targets that have been set. All right, let's jump into this. There's some dates in here, important dates. So the report summarizes progress during the second year of the roadmap, during bringing together in one place the work under the roadmap's wide range but interconnected set of initiatives. The report also confirms the next steps in the roadmap for 2023. All right, and beyond, organized around the priority themes described in the FSB note to the G20. You better believe I'll be finding that. Involving a wide range of stakeholders. Right here, I'm going to highlight this for you guys here. This is very important. All right, that's a terrible highlighting job. Let's do it again. So regular engagement between the action and from the public and private sectors is necessary to ensure the private blocks produce recommendations and actions that have industry support, secure timely investments where needed, and deliver tangible enhancements to cross-border payments by the end of 2027. So I'm sure by that year we're going to see some insane price action. So all you TA people out there who love your charts, keep me informed, please. I'm learning about charts. Hopefully by then I'll be more fluent. But if not, by all means, keep me updated. Let's keep this moving. Where am I? The development of preliminary ISO 20022 harmonization guidelines by a joint task force specializes the CPMI and Swift Payments Market Practice Group, the PMPG. Check them out. Which should set minimum guidelines for core data components across the cross-border payments chain. ISO 20022, that international standard, is solely about interoperability and ubiquity. That's why you keep hearing people saying interoperability. It's just about interoperability, being able to reach every market whenever you need without friction. Well, I guess reduced friction, because there's still intermediaries. There's the banks, there's whoever else that's trying to skim money off the top that the mainstream people will use. I'm going to try and stick to the background as much as I can. So in 2021, the G20 leaders endorsed the FSB's targets for addressing the 4 challenges of cross-border payments. The final report, which establishes 11 targets at the global level to provide a common vision for the improvements sought under the G20 roadmap for enhancing cross-border payments. In addition, the FSB committed to providing a report in October 2022 to the G20 and the public with the details of an approach for monitoring progress towards the targets using KPIs, which is key performance indicators. Most industry uses KPIs to see how things are doing, how employees are doing, how much revenue you're bringing in, how the revenue and employees match together, if you're picking up your pace from where you were prior years, or even before that, months before that. It's just an indicator that shows you how well you're doing. And with baseline estimates of the KPIs against which future progress would be measured. Okay, so as the next step, in November, the FSB will publish its final report detailing the implementation approach for the monitoring progress towards the target. In 2023, the FSB will finish operationalizing the receipt of the request data and the calculation of the KPIs and begin publishing annual updates on the progress being made. So expect by the end of this year, we're going to see that report. So, there's the different building blocks that we're talking about. There was, when they say 3 of them, there's the 3 of them here. Okay, now what I want to get down to, there's building block 4. Okay, there was 4 of them, that's right. Here, as the next step, through the end of 2022 into 2023, the FSB will establish a working group to further explore and make recommendations related to the application of supervision to banks and non-banks regarding their cross-border payment activities. In addition, the FSB will establish a work stream to evaluate from a cross-border payments perspective transparency of information provided to end users about payment transaction and cyber technology risk. So from this, what interests me is this. Who is that? Who is their working group? That's what I want to know, who that working group is. So here are the dates. Here are some key dates. I'm going to just pause here, let you guys read it while I read these dates to you. Or at least take notes, not read it. Allow you to take notes while I read it to you. That makes more sense. So there was a change to building block 4 from the stage 3 roadmap. Stage 4 is right here. This is the building block 4. All right, aligning regulatory, supervisory, and oversight framework for cross-border payments. So there was a change, an amendment to that. And what was that? Here, this still says here there was no change to this date for March 2023, which is if a gap or areas of alignment were identified in Action 1, relevant SSB in case where this falls within its mandate, or FSB where the gap area for alignment does not fall within a specific mandate, to launch a work stream to consider how to address the gap or area of alignment. That's still on track. This is on track. Here's the new timeline. Boom, right there. So relevant for the SSB or FSB to provide a report for public consultation on how to address gaps or area for the alignment that were identified. Outreach activities could be conducted by the SSB or FSB to gather feedback from specific regions. New timeline here. Each relevant national authority to publicly communicate, how it plans to address gaps or areas for alignment, if any, that were identified. This is a building block 5. Perfect. Applying AML, CFT rules consistently and comprehensively. Skip through that. Imana. You ever watch Ali G? It's like a movie from back in the day. And that's Sacha Baron Cohen. Hilarious. He was acting as this guy from England. Imana. Alright. So, next steps. Pending plenary approval, the expected completion date of the stock take has been extended. So here's an extension as well, from March to September 2022. And subsequent milestones under this building block have been accordingly extended by 6 months. Relative to the deadline set in 2021 progress report. After the stock take, the FSB, in cooperation with CPMI, MSSB, Domestic Data Protection, and other governance bodies, will begin the next stage of work to issue the September 2023 recommendations to facilitate cross-border payments through improved data flows and information sharing. What does that mean in the grand scheme of things for you and me? I'm not sure. I do know it's more monitoring, or we can just go down to the actions and see what they're going to do here. Let's see what this actually means. The FSB is to conduct a stock take of existing national and regional data frameworks relevant to the functioning, regulation, and supervision of cross-border payment arrangements, and to identify issues relating to cross-border use of those data by national authorities and by the private sector. So, where I believe they're going to get this data from is from these trials they're doing. We had just learned about the blockchain use in terms of refugees for the refugee camp out in Jordan there, tracking these individuals. What they call that? What did they call that? What did they call it? My name is... There we go, the building blocks. Duh. So the building blocks, we saw it there. And here's the... there's the review of it, there's the news of it, and then just recently in December they did the same thing for the refugees in Ukraine as well. So they're tracking these things on a low value payment system. That's the LVPS, low value payment system. But it's running on the RTP, real time payment system. RTPS, oh geez. So, here's some new timelines. Subsequent milestones for Action 2 are similarly delayed by 6 months. From March to March, now September to September. And then down here, Action Milestone 2. This is to September. So, could we see some action in September 2023 to 2024? We'll have to see. Did the charts do the charts tell us that? I wish I had, I guess, a chart person right now that can plan this all out for me and see how this is looking in the chart avenue or lane of things. All right. There's building block 7 here. That has to do with promoting safe payment corridors. Then there's building block 8 here, which is fostering KYC and identity sharing. That's VASP. That's VASP. We had gone over that. Check out my other videos. By all means, please check them out. The amount of learning you will get here is just mind-blowing. It blows my mind that I can even figure these things out and have the capacity to provide an understanding based off of my aviation background and regulatory compliance. But I guess compliance is compliance regardless of what industry you're in, huh? So, focus area C, improving existing payment infrastructure and arrangements to support the requirements of cross-border payment markets. So now this is what most of us are waiting for to happen, that we believe in March. All right. That's when I'm not going to say full-blown implementation of ISO 20022 adoption is taking place. I'm going to say a partial, because at that point they're holding both systems. Don't mind the water behind me. I have a tower garden. My partner and myself, we grow our own vegetables. We're not into the whole, Bill Gates inject everything that they could possibly can with. We're not about that lifestyle, man. We want to grow our own stuff, live off the grid as far as... We plan on moving to the Canary Islands eventually. All right. We passed January into February. Okay, here we go. So, for the roadmap now, as a next step, the CPMI expects to publish a final report by January 2023 rather than November. So, that report should be out somewhere by the CPMI, and you better believe I'll be bringing it to you guys. The extension will allow for proper consideration of the public consultation responses. The final report will discuss the most feasible option for encouraging greater use of PVP. The fuck is PVP again? Let's see what the first place is. Where is it? Oh, whatever. It's something. Payment value I don't know. Oh, there it is. Payment versus payment. There it is. PVP is payment versus payment. Now that we know that, we're all leveled. So, cross-border payments often involve foreign exchange trades to exchange two currencies, exposing the counterparties to settlement risk. For example, the risk of loss when an entity in an FX transaction pays the currency it sold but does not receive the currency it bought. A PVP, so payment versus payment, that makes sense. The mechanism helps mitigate this risk and, depending on the design, substantially reduce funding costs by offering functionality such as netting to reduce participants' liquidity obligations. However, many deliverable FX trades are not settled using PVP, and the proportion of PVP to non-PVP settlement has decreased since the early 2000s. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. This is where we were. This is the report we were talking about. I've gotten off topic here. Look at this shit. Gotten way off topic here. Reading stuff I didn't need to read. Anyways, learning is learning here, regardless of where we jump. This is where we were. So the relevant bodies to work with the CPMI to develop an implementation plan now of this PVP. And that is coming out sometime this year up until next year, 2024. So this year is the data collecting phase. And then next year, annually, when they come up with their culmination of everything they've been collecting data on, you will see that there. And you better believe I'll be there to report that. Building block 10, improving direct access to payment systems by banks, non-banks, and payment infrastructures. FIs is financial institute. FMIs is financial market infrastructures. Okay, access to key domestic payment systems facilitates the ability for banks, non-bank payment service providers, PSP is payment service provider, and financial market infrastructure, FMIs, we just said that, to provide cross-border payment services safely and efficiently. In particular, expanded access can level the playing field, there's that word again, for PSPs and foster greater competition and innovation. Improving access to key payment systems that settle in central bank money would support progress on other building blocks, there it is again, building blocks of the roadmap. I wonder what those other building blocks are. We found one of them. In particular, access to real-time gross settlement, RTGS. I don't think I wanted to go through the rest of this with you guys. Was that everything I had? Before I let you go, I just want to make sure that I'd gone over everything that I wanted to go over with you guys. I know this is like unorthodox the way I do and host my, my channel, but it's my channel, right? I can host it the way I want. And I'm pretty sure that you guys, enjoy what I have to offer. But I just want to make sure I have everything that I do. Oh. Here we go. So I want you to hear this, okay?
And that comes to consumer adoption and merchant acceptance at the launch of the CBDC. And this is going back to the interoperability question, because many central banks that we have spoken with face this common challenge, which is how would you make sure that CBDC can be used from day one, by whom? Those are the key questions. And more importantly, how would it coexist and interoperate back to the existing, whether that's banking application, to the existing payment infrastructures. And with that in mind, I think this goes back to, thinking especially CBDC as a retail CBDC or a general purpose CBDC. There's a lot of nuances that's associated with it. And this is where we think, how do we envision what a potential retail bridge that can be built, and to support these adoption questions is very key. And then I guess another sort of
support a retail bridge is key.
Initiative which we've been spending quite some time is in applied research for CBDC, and we're looking at a lot of these novel technologies, I would say, that has been sort of being experimented and piloted. Novel technologies means newer technologies. Majority of these blockchain technologies are newer. They're all new in terms of their use case. They haven't really been used yet, so they're novel. Some of them are 14 years old. Ripple is 2014. It is now 2023. That's 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. 2012, I'm lying. 2012. 10, 11 years? Yeah, anyways, math isn't important right now.
No, we're not looking at the math of this. We're focusing on what she's talking about.
And certainly, I think highlighting the MCBDC Bridge project and definitely the Project Nexus, I think personally.
So she was talking about retail bridges, and then she was talking about Project M Bridge. Project M Bridge is the high level now at this point, which is central bank money, which is the wholesale CBDC or MCBDC, multi-CBDC. WCBDC is the wholesale CBDC, which is the central bank money at that point. When it comes to the front end of things, and gets passed down to the retail bank. There we go. The retail bank. That is an RCBDC. That is the retail CBDC at that point. So we have the retail cross-border, which is RCBDC. Then we have, pull it back, we have the WCBDC, which is the wholesale CBDC. And for that to be moved, that's on Project M Bridge. Now, continue.
Is super interesting. In this space, we have launched a publication around the universal payment channels. Essentially, it's really leveraging cryptographic sort of primitives and trying to think how could you allow sort of in the future if certain stablecoin, regulated stablecoins and CBDCs, or between CBDC and CBDC, these cross-border payments happen. And let's assume that if they're built on DLT networks, how could you facilitate a very secure and instant atomic, actually, cross-border payments between two different networks? So these are very interesting. And I think we have found a lot of resonance actually in the Project Nexus in the way the network is being designed and being proposed. So super excited in terms of what's to come. I guess just to summarize, I do think that it is possible you can have both resiliency and simplicity without killing off these established solutions. And this is where the private sector and public sector come in to provide this range of, I would say, interoperability solutions that can then bring things together.
There's that term again, interoperability, which goes back to ISO 20022. So if you look at the individual coins, you could say that are compliant with ISO 0022. There's a handful, I would say. XRP being at the top, XLM, then you have Algorand, then you have XDC, then you have, is that it? Cello, maybe. HBAR has been on the border, So, and she also brought up Project Nexus. Here's Project Nexus. Project Nexus blueprint for instant cross-border payments moves to testing phase now. More than 60 countries already have instant or fast payment systems that allow people to send money to each other within seconds. However, sending money abroad is often still slow and expensive. So they've been experimenting with that already. The two that are at the top of my list, here we go. Enough said. I'm going to kick that as the end of the program today. I appreciate you guys for spending time with me. Nothing but love and respect for all you. I keep saying guys and women. I really don't, what your gender is really doesn't matter to me. Guys, women, couches, cat, whatever. Anyways, thanks for spending time with me. Until the next one.
Major move. We going all in. Like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.